Hello and welcome to a conversation on the Daily Bern. I'm your host, Eric Miller. It is Labor Day. What a good day, coincidentally, to have a union president joining me. It's Omar Fernandez. I'm going to get your title correct, the president of the American Postal Workers Union of Vermont. And
that is correct.
And also the vice president of Postal Workers of Vermont for the AFL-CIO. Welcome, Omar. Nice to chat with you.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate you this interview. This is awesome. It's an honor.
Yeah, thank you for taking some time to chat with me. It's funny, I saw you on the People's Party stream, and I was looking for just activists and people that sort of share the vision of the page and interviews I want to profile and platform. And I thought you were a superstar. You read a statement, and I wanted to have you on after hearing what you said and what you're seeing in the post office and all that stuff. And it's funny, I scheduled today and I didn't realize it was Labor Day when I scheduled. I was like, oh shit, I just scheduled a union guy. Like, how horrible am I? So I gave you an out, but you were like, nah, man, let's do it. So here we are. And, it's an honor to chat with you on today of all days. I'm going to throw you a softball or two right out of the gate. You ready?
Yes, sir.
What does Labor Day mean for you?
Oh, man. Labor Day is the day that labor finally gets to see how important we are to this country. There's no way. There was not a manager, but there was one of my mentors used to say, labor wakes the country up in the morning and puts it to bed at night. And now with this pandemic that we have now, people are starting to realize how important they are. And I want them to keep that in mind as we're going through our interview, so they can they just need to understand their importance. I don't want to sound corny, but labor are the kings and queens of our democracy, period. We're the ones that make the country run.
Yeah, here. Yeah, well said. And just to get a little bit of background, the APWU, so there's a national and then there's a state sort of branch, I guess you might say. Can you give us what's the footprint? Is there one in all states, and how many members in Vermont?
Absolutely. What I love about the American Postal Workers Union is that we have the national, and then we have in each and every state and in each and every branch, pretty much, wherever there's a warehouse, wherever there's a post office, they have their own union, they have their own locals, and they even have the power to tell the president what to do. And because actually the way the American Postal Workers Union was founded was during a wildcat strike. In case our friends and brothers and sisters don't know what that is, it's when the people rise up and say, hey, national, you're not representing us correctly. So we're going to take over and do what we need to do so that we can get the benefits and the pay that we can get. And that happened for the American Postal Workers Union. And so to this day, we have that tradition of it's always the ground, it's always the people, it's always us that starts that gets things done. Thank God we have a president now he's a huge activist, and he's always bringing other unions in and things like that. But it's always been bottom up. I was going to say something else and it totally left.
No worries. And so so there's a national president. So how much sway does the union or that president have over the postmaster?
Zero. Unless the people get together and do what we need to do, the president only has, and that's why we concentrate on that. That's the reason we always make sure, look, you guys got to be involved, because when the people go out there and show our power, then all of a sudden the postmaster is like, oh, okay, wait a minute, hold on. What was that idea you wanted to talk about? Yeah, let's talk about that right there. We can do that. And I'll tell you this, I didn't want to scare anyone with none, because of everything that's been going on thus far, the rallies that we've been putting and what the people have been doing. The giant is waking up, and I'm so excited for it. The people are waking up, and because of that is why Postmaster DeJoy said, hey, we're going to stop all this until the elections are over. And then after the elections is over, we'll keep going. So that's when the people have to get together and say, no, you're going to stop this completely. You're going to get politics out of the post office, and you're going to run the post office the way it should be run. I don't know if you want to get into this, Eric, yet, but just so that people know, the post office is very well run. There are little kooky things here and there, but back in 2006, before 2006, there was an analysis that was done on the post office, and the politicians wanted to see that it was badly run, that things needed to get overhauled, that it should be privatized and all that kind of stuff. All they found out is that we had a profit. And not only did we have a profit, and this is a nonprofit organization, by the way, folks. We do not run on taxpayer money whatsoever. It's only on the services that we provide you, sisters and brothers. So not only were we running on a profit in 2006, but we overpaid our retirement. And they said anywhere from $75 billion to $100 billion that we overpaid into it. So there was money that we already had in our coffers. And then all of a sudden they came up with this brilliant idea. It was a lame duck session in the Congress. Came up with this brilliant idea that said, hey, let's pass the PAEA, the Postal Enhancement Act or something that, you know, whenever politicians come up with a name, it's opposite of whatever they say it is.
Of course, right.
So,
yeah.
Right. They came up with this idea and they said, oh, by the way, post office, thank you for that extra money. And by the way, now you're going to have to pay for 75 years in advance. In 10 years, you have to pay 75 years in advance for the retirement of your future employees. No other company ever had to do that in the United States. No other agency, nothing whatsoever, have ever had to do anything like that. Now, this was done back in 2006. And it was 75 years. In 10 years, we had to pay. Now, if it wasn't for that law, the Postal Service would be working on a 6-year operational profit. So in other words, these last 6 years would have been profitable years for the post office if it wasn't for that law. Usually our nonprofit organization works as you get a year of profit, a year of loss, and a year of breaking even. But if it wasn't for this law, we would have had 6 years of profits. And that's the only reason, one of the reasons that we need this 25 billion passed in the House. Because of the COVID, the COVID expenses that we have now, and because they took all that money away, that 75 to 100 billion that we overpaid, poof, gone.
Yeah. Let me ask you to add a little more color to that too. So the motivation, for that 10-year was specifically to hobble the post office to make the case for privatization. Am I right? It's that
Absolutely.
simple.
That is correct.
And it's and not a single party effort, we should say, right?
No, not at all. It was both parties that did it. Look, I know we have friends, and I'm going to be straight with you. We have friends in the Republican Party. We have friends in the Democratic Party. But isn't it funny how a coalition can be built to finally help the post office? It wasn't until the people woke up and started saying, whoa, this is serious, that finally things started going on. But this has been going on for decades. I mean, little by little, it's been piecemealed. I mean, the post office used to have its own planes. We used to do our own air mail. Now we pass it over to UPS and FedEx. To be fair, we do the last mile of all those delivery guys, DHL, UPS, FedEx. We do their last mile because it's not profitable for them to do it. So we do their last mile. But whenever anything has to go on a plane, we use UPS and FedEx. And that somebody once told me, I don't know if it's true. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't mind being corrected. Someone once told me that FedEx got saved because we gave them our airplane, our airmail business. If it wasn't for that, FedEx would have gone out of business.
So this bill coming due 10 years out, is already putting USPS kind of behind the 8 ball, right? And now we have the Postmaster General who, clearly has conflicts of interest or, owns stocks in some of those private delivery companies, just appointed, right? Can you talk about, what was the state before he got there, and then how did it change just in terms of this, like overall philosophically? We'll get into the specifics. How did it change before he got there, and then once he got there?
Well, before it got there, things happened slowly. It was always a back and forth between management and the union, and you guys can't do this. You agreed to this, and it's actually there was a lot of totally ignoring the contract. There was a lot of the guys up here knew what the contract said, meaning managers, but the middle guys didn't. And so most of the time, what the union does is it teaches the middle managers what the contract says, so they can go ahead and follow it. Now, I will say this. Managers, unfortunately, they're told either do it our way or we'll find somebody to do it our way. And they're stuck in this situation where it's like they got to do it. And that's where I come in and I say to them, hey guys, you and I both know that we need more staff. We know that. So just make me the bad guy. Let's find out what we need. Make me the bad guy and say, hey boss, I'm trying to do what you want me to do, but that guy, that union is bringing the contract on. So, and so that was the back and forth that we had. Now, when DeJoy came in, and I'm not just going to blame DeJoy, because President Obama had a chance to put people in the board of governors. There's two organizations that run the post office, and we can't do anything without this. We can't do anything without the board of governors and without the PRC. They're the ones that control our pricing and all that kind of stuff. President Obama had a chance to put people in the board of governors that were Democratic or from the Democratic Party that supposedly would help us or anything like that. Didn't happen. There were, I think, and I'm so sorry, I forget. I think there's supposed to be 14 members in that board, and there were only 4 as long as President Obama was in power. And so when President Trump came in, he filled it up with all his guys. As a matter of fact, some of our guys that were good for us, for some reason, decided to quit right there in protest. And I'm like, guys, we needed you in there. So now, I'm sorry, right, more than ever. And so now things are happening at a lot faster pace. I will tell you that. I mean, usually machines do get taken out back in the day, but they're always replaced with something better and bigger. Now machines are being replaced and they're not being replaced. They're being taken out and they're not being replaced whatsoever. In my own plant, there's a machine that went out. That work is now being done manually by people, which is great. More people in there, the better. But now that machine hasn't been replaced yet at all. Things are happening a lot faster now.
And that has a real negative impact on productivity, I would assume.
Absolutely. Already we were understaffed. And now, I mean, I'm usually like there's a list that we have. And this is, again, what I love about the union. You can either make a choice whether you want to do overtime or not do overtime. You can put yourself on that list. And I know DeJoy is like, oh, we can't do overtime and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes that can't be avoided. So I hardly ever I've only been doing this for 6 years. Hardly ever did I ever have to do overtime. Just wasn't interested. It's just too tiring. Plus I had union things to do when I got home. But now, just to help my brothers and sisters on the floor, I do a 10-hour day on a regular now. Wow. Because there's so much work to do. I need to come in early so that we can advance the work, so that by the time my 11 o'clock shift comes around, things are maybe a little bit more manageable, and we have the PSCs are working 12-hour days easily, every single one of them. We have about 10 PSCs in our small plant, and they do 12-hour days easily every single day, every day.
Right. And I'm not trying to make a case for automation over, paying someone overtime, but that seems to be exactly in contradiction of whatever he claims to be his mission statement of cutting costs, right? The machine would be, more efficient, obviously, like you say, brothers and sisters, we want to give them the work, right? But, so what's the morale? How have people received that? How are the people on the floor viewing that?
I'll tell you, as far as the clerk craft is considered, our contract very clearly states that overtime is overtime. It's above and beyond what you can do. Our contract is always concentrated on making the right amount of money in 8 hours, period. So we've already have that within our craft that, what's the word I'm looking for? That way of thinking that we make our money in 8 hours, we take care of the people in 8 hours. So when you're working overtime, you're taking time, because that's what the contract literally says. It says you should be working for 8 hours, your other 16 hours, you should be resting, pleasure, having fun with your family, spending time with them. So the guys, even though we're there working our butts off, and we love our job, Eric, I'm telling you right now, we love what we do. We love processing that mail. I can't even describe what it's like, what honor it is. We literally take an oath before we even start our first day. But I will tell you this, the guys, especially the PSCs, are tired. Actually, it's one of the things that I tell the managers. We had 20 PSCs at one time. These guys were so overworked that a lot of them just quit. And I mean, I'm there telling them, guys, it's not going to be like this forever. Eventually, you will get converted. Eventually, you will get to that 8-hour day and you won't have to do these extra jobs. But it's hard work, brother. I mean, I got a back injury at work and I'm still there doing my thing. You know what I mean? Thank God I was able to get a job where now I make sure trucks get out on time with all the mail, get out on time, and we do the manual and all that kind of stuff on there. But it's getting, I mean, pretty soon. And this is one of the things that we do. One of the tricks we have to make sure that we don't do a 12-hour day. For the career people, we say that, okay, it's time and a half for 10 hours, and then it's double time if it goes into 12 hours. So I tell you this, managers want to make sure that the work gets done in 10 hours, which is good. Right. It's very good.
Right. So what was the rationale given specifically to that machine at your location?
See, and I'm an efficiency guy. I love to make sure that I'm always working. I want my 10 hours to always be busy because makes it go by faster. And trust me, it's busy now. Okay. Their idea was what they told the union. They said, okay, guys, we're going to take this machine out, because the unions will automatically be like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? We're going to take this machine out because we're going to replace it with something better, bigger and better. Okay, that's cool. 2 months later, no machine, still nothing.
Yeah. So when you hear those stories, so I imagine you speak with various other representatives from various other states. You know, are they mirroring your story, your experience, where, you know, a bit of a bait and switch, the machine's going out, don't worry about it, you got an awesome one coming, and it's kind of no showing. We've heard, you know, all these anecdotal stories about one that was taken and sold for like $2,000 in scrap metal. That might have been your story.
That was in New Hampshire. That was right next door to my state, where this gentleman, a very great businessman, he said, oh, you're selling, I can't believe this, it's like anywhere from a $30,000 to a $40,000 machine. They sold it to this gentleman for $2,000, and he was going to sell it for scraps, Eric, for $15,000. I don't know who stopped it, if it was the union putting pressure on the managers or what, but definitely that machine was not taken. And it's actually worse, Eric, in other plants. At least in our plants, they're saying it's only one machine that they took out. In other plants, they're taking machine after machine after machine after machine out. And check this out. Before the joy, they were talking about expanding the machine so that they have more pockets for more mail. Now all of a sudden the machines are leaving. What? The work is still there. We've been working Christmas level mail since the pandemic started. I mean, usually during this time, we call this choice vacation time. It's usually where the guys get together and they're like, okay, we can take our vacations from this time to this time because it's our low volume. No,
right.
It's been high volume since the pandemic started. Christmas level since the pandemic started.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Please continue. So, I mean, tell me what else you've heard or what else you're seeing from your you know, presidents from other states. I don't want you to speak on their behalf, but just anecdotally, what other stories have you been hearing?
I mean, that's the reason we were real busy at the beginning of all this, because our brothers and sisters over in New York, we lost so many people there that they literally sent their mail. Now, this is New York City. Our largest local is in New York. Great local over there. The APWU was run by Jonathan Smith, great president. I always ask for his help on how to do things. Again, I've only been doing this for 4 years actually, with the whole being a president and things like that. But this is our largest, where most of our mail goes. They were sending little old Vermont their mail, and man, you should have seen our platform. Our platform has 18 doors and then something in a little place in the pit that we call where newspapers go. And we had mail from one end to the other. I mean, and it was just crazy, the amount of mail that we had on there. Things were just, it was crazy. Thank God that now that when more people came online, when people came back after being quarantined and things like that, they took their work back. We still have our work. And again, it's still, the volume is still Christmas level volume. And it's incredible to me that the postmaster would say, oh, they're not needed. They're not needed. It's because of this whole false thing. And this is the thing that was frustrating me. They had 5 hours before this committee. I don't even know. There was the Homeland Security one and then the other one. I can't remember its name right now. And not one of the guys, actually, that's a lie. I heard one of the guys talk about the PAEA, but never did they say that it was because of this that's causing it to look like it's falsely losing money. DeJoy literally said, we're losing $10 billion a year. Yeah, it's because of the PAEA that you're making us pay 75 years in advance. That goes to the general fund. And I heard the committee leader, actually, when I was there in DC, actually just came out and said, oh, yeah, all that money is gone. And I'm like, what? Wait, wasn't that supposed to be saved for us? No, all that money is gone. It was put in the general fund and used for something else, which is what I think they're going to be doing with this whole Social Security thing that's going on next.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. I do want to get to the election and motives and speculation and stuff like that. But, there's interesting things. So, in the run to privatize it, like you said, you guys do the last mile, right? Because it's not lucrative for them, right? So you always go back to I think it's Naomi Klein's thing, socialize the cost and privatize the gains, right? So exactly. But that's the opposite of what they're doing. So why push to privatize that last mile? Like they should be, they're already sort of profiting on your backs, right? On the delivery that you guys are doing, right? So, I guess it's the profit motive. It's just running water. It just always finds a way to,
Eric, honestly, I don't get it. I don't understand it. You're already making $1 trillion a second. Right. Let that guy that's working 40 hours a week or so be able to take care of their family. I don't understand why they're doing it. It's like at the same time that they're privatizing and making it look bad. But see, here's the thing. These guys that are in the mail industry, I read somewhere where we're actually in the center of a $17.1 trillion a year business with advertisement and all that kind of stuff. So these guys know how much money the Postal Service makes. Last quarter, in just 3 months, the Postal Service made $17.2 billion. Of course, most of that had to go out the door because we had to pre-fund the retirement instead of it going into our infrastructure the way it should and all that kind of stuff. But they know the Postal Service makes money. I bet you it won't happen. The people won't let that happen. The unions won't let that happen. But I bet you if they ever got their hands on privatizing the Postal Service, they are going to all of a sudden, all these things are going to end up happening and all that. I mean, I'll say this again. I don't know for sure, but I also heard that Pitney Bowes has the same kind of machines that we do. And those guys get paid $10 to $12 an hour. Now I don't want to be greedy and be like, oh, I should be getting paid. Blah, blah. No, I'm not talking about that. We make enough money where people can live a dignified life. What's wrong with that? Yeah. What's wrong with being able to, one person in the household, be able to work 8 hours a day or more if they want to, but work those 8 hours a day, come home and spend time with their family? What's wrong with being able to save money for the future, being able to pay your bills, being able to go on vacation and not be stressed out? I mean, we got sisters and brothers out here working 2 to 3 jobs just to pay their medical bills. Yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm not that kind of guy that comes against somebody and says, hey, I don't want you to make your $1 trillion a second. Awesome. But let me take care of my family too. Okay, can I do that? Is that okay with you? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and thank you for being on that front line, because it's, they're not trying to answer to you. They're answering to their shareholders, right? It's always a quarterly short-term gain, right? It's not a long-term thing, like you're saying. It involves humanity and things like that. So, yeah, and privatization will always find its way. Um, so,
And it doesn't work. Look what happened to the water.
yeah,
I mean, look what's
great
going
point.
on with our roads. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't
Great.
mean to interrupt you.
No, great point. Yeah, great point. Yeah, and that's what Republicans tend to do. They hobble things, they defund them, and then they may, oh, look, it's faulty, we need to privatize it, right? Private
Yeah,
industry will come in on a white horse and save the day, right? That's
exactly.
the same old story. Let me ask a little bit about, so, obviously there appears to be a pretty clear motivation as Trump's appointee, right? Just in time for the election, mail-in balloting. Let me ask that two ways. Like, what's your view on that? And then what's kind of the consensus of, the people that you represent, or, anecdotally, the people that you work with?
I'll tell you this: to us, the mail is sacred. All of the mail needs to get out of the building. I look at I don't know if there's a better way of looking at it, but I look at the post office as a tube. The mail goes in one end, it's going to come out the other end, period. Always and forever. It will always do that. There's no way in the world, Eric, that a postal worker, even somebody brand new who just took their oath, will do anything to make their career go away. That is a federal offense to
Right.
mess with the mail. We do not play with that. I mean, there's a little thing that I remember when I was a PSC. I saw some money laying on the ground, and believe it or not, there's cash that comes in the mail. I saw some money laying on the floor, and we have windows. I'm over here pointing like if I'm in the plant. We have windows all in the thing, and you can see it. Almost, I hate to say it, I love my job, but it's almost like you're in prison. You're always being watched. There's always a camera on you. I don't pay attention to them anyways, because my job is a good job. I'm not going to lose my job over silly things. But I saw some money on the floor, and I looked at it, and I'm a joker. I looked at it, I pointed at it, and I pointed to the window. I'm like, not today, postal inspectors, not today. So I went and got my supervisor, and he looked at it. He's like, oh, that's my money. I said, hey, dude, that's on you. I ain't going to lose my job because of it. But we literally look at these envelopes, especially, well, the machines look at the address and they get it to where it needs to get to. If ever it comes into the manual section of the plant, we literally look at the first 3 digits so it can get to the right section. And then once it gets to that section, we look at the last 2 digits and get it to that. That's all we do. We get it in there as fast as possible. Now, I will say this. Some of the envelopes do say ballot on it, have a flag on it, black and white flag on it. We see that, and it's like alarm bells. Hey, what's this going? Why is this here? Let's go. We get it out of the building. We put it in what we call an express bag and get it out of the building, because we understand how important that is. Somebody's vote. We understand how important that is, and we wanted to get it out the building. We're not looking at addresses. There's a lady that came out and said that there's a R or a D on the envelope and all this stuff. I had no idea that was there. If it is even on there, I haven't even looked yet. We're looking at zip codes and we're getting that mail to where it needs to go. Period.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm sorry, I didn't know if I answered your question.
No, that's great. I was actually asking specifically, your opinion about DeJoy's appointment, if that was a nefarious thing for election interference.
Absolutely. I tend to agree with this, but I think it would have happened whether it was a Democrat in power or a Republican in power, because again, they've been after the Postal Service forever and ever. And to be honest with you, the Postal Service is not, and that's where I was going before I went left. The Postal Service that's not where the problem is going to happen. The problem is going to happen when it's in either end, when it goes to get counted or whatever. I'm pretty sure you've seen programs where talk about how both parties are cheating and don't count all the ballots. Or there's this other gentleman I can't remember his name right now, that pulls people's name out of the voting, and then their vote doesn't even get counted because his name happens to be Jose Gomez
Right.
in 29 different states, but the middle name is different. And all of a sudden, hey, Jose Gomez has tried to vote in 29 different states. Let's pull him out of there. Or over in Cleveland, it was who's the godfather of soul? James Brown. They pulled out all the James Brown and said it's the same guy trying to vote all these different times. I mean, it's an either end where the problem it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's not going to be in the Postal Service.
Right on.
So,
I think the name you're looking for is Chris Kobach. He was out of Kansas. He was nefarious for purging voter rolls. For a name like yours would come off, a name like mine would stay on, right? Kind of thing,
yes,
right?
exactly.
Right? Yeah. Greg Palat did a great documentary about that. Yeah.
Yes.
It's funny. He was appointed to Trump's voter fraud commission, and they found nothing. So they eventually had to dissolve it. Right.
There you go.
Funny
And
enough.
isn't there a state that's been? I'm picturing it. It's up north, northwest. I think that's been doing all of their voting by mail for the last 20 years, and in those 20 years, there's only been 15 times where somebody is trying to do something nefarious, and they got caught. You know,
right. It's a felony, right? Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Ilhan Omar tweeted the number yesterday. It was like 0.000006% of the time. It's so negligible, it's not even worth reporting almost, right?
Right.
But I think, it's great that you clarify about the, what the shenanigans would happen on either end of the post office, right? I think everyone recognizes that. I think the motivation probably is, to cause delays and slowness so they can usurp the narrative, right? So if the counting is taking too long, just like happened with George Bush, they can declare Donald Trump a winner, right? The longer it takes, the more shade they can throw at it, right? All that stuff. So yeah.
I just thought of something. I mean, I was wondering if it would be possible. I think it might be too late now. If they just keep all those ballots in the post office to wherever it needs to go, do the counting in there. Because I'll tell you one thing, the postal inspectors will not play. Those ballots are going to get counted. Actually, the postal inspectors are the oldest police force in the United States. Those guys don't play around. They're professionals. They do their job. You should see the reports that come out. I mean, the postmaster before DeJoy, it almost like she hated them because they would come up with things like, hey, you guys said, this was when I first started working. You guys said that if we stop delivering on Saturday, that things are going to become more efficient and it's going to cost a lot less money and all that. Well, guess what? It's actually costing a lot more money and it's not efficient. It's taking longer. Go back to Saturday, and actually with some things, we even deliver 7 days a week now. I mean, they stopped. When I first started working there, it was only Monday through Friday. Then the postal inspectors came out with their reports and then Saturday came in, and all of a sudden we just needed to get that extra Sunday in there to get that mail out of there, get the mail to the people, period.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask about, so you don't, so in summary on the DeJoy appointment and the machines getting pulled out and all the stuff you're seeing either firsthand or hearing, from your neighbors and things like that. Do you think if this was in fact a nefarious effort to slow down voting or, throw doubt on the process of voting or even USPS in general, like, do you think they've been successful at that?
I don't think so. I haven't heard. Today I did an interview, and the only question I got was not whether their ballots was going to get to wherever it needed to get. The biggest question was, hey, isn't FedEx taking money away from the Postal Service when they're the ones that do the flying? And, I was like, yeah, that's true. But what's really taking away our money was the PAEA and the pre-funding for those 75 years. So I reminded him of that. But I'm thinking that no, the confidence of the people is still there. As a matter of fact, the first rally that I did this year, August 22nd, I believe it was done by the people. It wasn't even us that did it. They called me and said, hey, we want to do a rally. And that's when we did the rally. So I will say this, that because like President Trump, because I don't want to disrespect any of my brothers and sisters that still have confidence in him. You know, I want us to be together. I don't want anything to divide us. But President Trump has no finesse whatsoever. So where other presidents and other parties did it little by little, and you know, schmoozed it in cursive and all this other kind of good stuff, he's like block letters and let's go and boom, and people are starting to notice it now. They're starting to see what he's doing, and that's what's waking up that sleeping giant. I'm telling you, if the people come together and get this thing done, the Postal Service will never, ever have to worry about any political influence. I honestly do not think that the party should be anywhere in there when the Board of Governors are put into place or when the PRC is put into place. I think we need to open up the Postal Service to more things like postal banking, like putting solar panels on our roofs so we can provide electricity for our people and things like that. I mean, internet, you know, all those things. It should be opened up.
Banking, yeah.
Like we used to. We used to do postal banking. We still do. The most safest money orders that you can send out there is the postal money order, and people use those.
Yeah. I thought of a terrible joke, and I can't. You said he has no finesse. He's grabbing him by the USPS, if you will.
That's bad.
That's terrible. I know. Terrible.
That was bad, Eric.
I couldn't resist it though. My terrible joke aside. So let me ask you about the People's Party. So you participated in that. Tell me about your motivations in that. What's the principles? What's People's Party about from your perspective?
The People's Party, basically, what we're going to do is everything that Bernie said he was going to do, the People's Party is going to do. Period. Now, I will say this: we do have a platform. It's as a matter of fact, the People's Party was called Draft Bernie Sanders for the People's Party when it first started. Bernie Sanders rejected us. Now, I love Bernie Sanders. Thank you for bringing us to the left. Thank you for waking us up and all that kind of good stuff. But you should have been president already for 2 terms by now. You should be on your 2nd term right now. But let's put that aside. The People's Party, even though we do have our platform, it's exactly like Bernie Sanders. It even goes more than that, because we even have some of our Tulsi Gabbard stuff. We do have green stuff in there and all that stuff. But we still need the participation of the people to get our platform perfect. It's one thing that I tell our members. I said to them, nobody is a better advocate for you than you. Right. You need to let your voice be heard. So while at the same time there's a lot of enthusiasm, I mean, I heard we had like 800,000 people watching at one time, and we were #2 on Twitter, and that's awesome. But we need their participation. We need to hear their voice so that we don't miss anything, so that we represent everything that people want in this platform, because we are going to be that party. We are going to be the party to take over for the Democrats, just like the Whigs lost their power when the Republicans came into being. That's the same thing that we're going to do, because there's a simple thing that these parties just have to do. Just give the people what they want. But they refuse it. I mean, they won't even put it on their platform, a non-binding platform, Eric. They won't even do it on that. So, I mean, and they already said that they're not going to do Medicare for all. Biden already said that. Trump definitely already said that, even though he said that with COVID, they were going to pay for everything and all that. And that went out the window. I don't know what happened with that all of a sudden.
Yeah, funny enough, in 2016, Donald Trump actually ran on Medicare for all. He said, we're going to have the greatest health care. No one's going to be dying in the streets. It's going to be tremendous. Believe me. Of course, he was a complete liar, but people bought it. People need it. Just like that's why Bernie's popularity was so, broad and, inspiring, because people were eager to get out and vote for something that would materially benefit their lives rather than, the lesser of 2 evils, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of the lesser of 2 evils, there was 2 resolutions passed, one in the AFL-CIO and one in the APWU. It was Resolution 48 and Resolution 78, where it says, but literally, the days of 2 evils must pass. of choosing between two evils must pass. And actually, that was one of the things that motivated Nick Brania, who used to work for Bernie Sanders. Nick Brania was the one those resolutions were the things that motivated Nick Brania to even start the movement for the People's Party. I like to see that my parent union and my union had something to do with the beginning of the People's Party. It's awesome. I love it.
That's great. Yeah, that was an amazing event. I can't wait to see where it goes. It's an uphill battle, right? There's that what's it, Duverger's law and all that stuff we have to overcome, right? But it's boy, just watching you and everyone else speaking on that event, it was great. It's on YouTube. If you're watching this and you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go back and watch it. It's like 4 or 5 hours, but you kind of drop in and watch Cornel West, Dr. Cornel West, Senator Nina Turner, Marianne Williamson, all kinds of great speakers.
Chris Hedges. It was just amazing.
Yeah. So and I met you through it. So even better for that. So on the People's Party, on the issues that you're having, right? So they're, I know they're still fighting over funding the post office. Between those two things, like how can people help?
Well, and the people are hungry because even with the AFL-CIO of Vermont, I'm part of the United platform that actually swept the entire executive board, and because we have a Green New Deal and we have all the things that the people wanted, and that's how they got us into power. So one thing that I definitely want to let the people know is, guys, I'm going to repeat it again. There's a scripture in the Quran that says, let us come together on things we can agree upon. Let's think about that. Let us come together on things we can agree upon. Anything else that's dividing us, let's set that off to the side. And then behind closed doors, we can fix that. But right now, let's come together on things that we can agree upon, okay? And then once we come together, we can do whatever it is that we need to do to take care of us. Now, for the Postal Service, again, let's come together on things we can agree upon. And there's a phone number that I want you to call. This is to call your senator, because the HEROES Act, and although I found out something disappointing about it, but the HEROES Act passed in the House. We needed to pass in the Senate. There's a phone number that you can call, and I'm going to repeat it twice. 833-924-0085. One more time. 833-924-0085. Call your senators every single day until that HEROES Act passes. Now, I'm not those kind of guys that's like, it's just pass free and clear, because there's things in there, guys, that are just weird. I haven't double checked it yet, but call your senators and tell them to pass the HEROES Act and to do a due diligence and to make sure that a great law passes, that there isn't any hidden pork in there. Because again, I found something, or I heard that there was something there. I haven't been able to look at it yet. That just kind of disappoints me. I don't know why they put all this crap into these laws that say that it does one thing, and then inside of it, it says something totally different. It's just, and then these words that
just to verify the number, 833-924-0085. I have it on the screen here.
Yes, sir, you do. You have it on the screen. Call your senator every single day. And then, as far as the Movement for the People's Party, come to the website. It's movementforpeoplesparty.org or .com. I'm so sorry. I always get those confused. But look it up. Just look it up on the Movement of People's Party. You're going to see our platform. But then again, it's not set in concrete, guys. We need to hear your voice. We need to hear your words to let us know exactly what's missing. We think we have something good right now, but there could be something missing, and we have to hear your voice. Don't sit back and say politics is not our thing, because look what they're doing to us, guys. Look, I mean, cable companies have used our money to build their own infrastructure, and then they keep the profit. Hospitals use our money to build their hospital, their buildings, and then they keep the profits. All that stuff should be coming to us. It should be shared with the people. I mean, we should have no problem whatsoever with money coming to us. With the amount of productivity that we do, that the people does, that the labor does, we should be getting paid anywhere from $25 to $30 an hour average, guys. So if you're not making $25 to $30 on average, they're stealing that money from you. And that's where they're making their trillions. Now, again, for my conservative brothers and sisters, I don't want their money. I just want to be able to take care of my family. And that's one of the things that we need to do to bring us together. Remember, let us come together on things we can agree upon. Here's what we can agree upon. We should be able to take care of our family with one job, be able to pay our bills with one job, be able to go on vacation with one job. That's all I'm asking for. That's it. Nothing else. Let's keep it simple. Like I'm a former Marine. Keep it simple, stupid, is what they used to tell me.
Right on. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so go look into People's Party. It'll be interesting once we start having candidates and things like that. I imagine they're going to target sort of ranked choice voting because it's, you have to build up a name like those states, right? It's going to take a little while, but there's the momentum, right? Between, you said it, like what Bernie woke up in 2015, 2016 continues through 2020, and it was never just him. It was not me, us, right? And, everyone knows that. So this is just a formation of that. So,
and just so that no one's afraid out there, we're not going to put any candidates up until 2022. Okay. Where right now, all we're saying is vote your conscience. And oh my gosh, what choices we have, guys. But we're saying vote your conscience. 2022, though, be ready. We're going to present some candidates to you that are worthy, that are worth it. And don't let any of these junk, because they're going to attack it, guys. They're going to attack us. They're going to say this guy slept with this person and this person this and that and blah, 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 blah. What they've do with progressives all the time. Don't listen to any of that. Don't listen to any of that. Let's stay together and do what we need to do to take care of us, because both parties are taking care of the rich. Now we need a party to take care of us.
Right on. Well, let's end it with that. Omar, I thank you for all that you do for the Postal Service. Sometimes a thankless job, but my hat's off to you, especially on Labor Day, and to all your union brothers and sisters. Thanks for doing that hard work day in, day out through rain, sleet. You know the saying. Just amazing.
I do it all the time too. It's our carrier brothers and sisters that do that crazy job. I mean, oh my gosh, those guys are awesome. I love those guys, but I forget the saying all the time.
No worries. So thank you, Omar. Hope to talk to you again soon. And go check out the People's Party and call your senators and House representatives and demand action on that funding of the USPS. Let me just throw up the number one more time, because I would be remiss if I did not. 833-924-0085. And obviously be polite, but be stern and be consistent, and give them a call and, make sure they're taking action to keep our USPS thriving and the vital resource that it is. So awesome. And and happy Labor Day. And thank you for talking to me on Labor Day, Omar. I appreciate it, brother.
It's my pleasure, Eric. Thank you so much. It's an honor and a pleasure. Thank you for talking to me.
Right on. I'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.
All right, brother. Bye.
Peace.
Peace.